Today is a good day, and I'm back. Welcome to Mr. Rosey's neighborhood. First, I would like to say is that I hope everyone is being safe with the COVID-19 virus that's out here and taking care of yourself. You got to be extremely careful with this stuff. People are still coming down with the virus and people are still leaving this earth, okay? You want to try to live out your time as long as you can and don't let this virus take you away from here. What I want to talk about today is concerning myself, and I always talk about myself. And this time I want to talk about transitioning from sight to blindness. I talk to a lot of people, and people with vision impairment, that is, and I never hear someone talking about their transition, or people with sight is never asking about your transitioning from sight to blindness. How did you do it? It seemed like it's an unconcern, but I feel as though as long as things does not concern us, those things does not matter. So for the ones that it is trying to send themselves from one point to another, I want to talk to you. And to the ones that's taking care of people like us. In 1996, I had a cerebral hemorrhage and I had a central vein occlusion at the same time. It was strange how this thing came over me. There was no symptoms. It just happened very suddenly. I went to the hospital and that is what I was told. Now, the central vein occlusion was bleeding in the back of my eyes. The cerebral hemorrhage was a different story. And believe it or not, after everything was over with, I was blind in both eyes totally for 6 months. The only way I could see anything was extremely close up, maybe 1 foot in front of me. Otherwise, I couldn't see anything. After that happened, I became very dependent on people at that particular time. I knew how my pride was, how my patience was, and all of that had to change in the twinkling of an eye. I still wanted to drive and realized once I got outside I couldn't drive. Not thinking. I still wanted to go walking by myself and realized I couldn't do that without thinking. And then I realized one thing. I had to learn patience. My pride went out the door. Because when you have all of that pride sitting upon you, you have a tendency to outthink yourself sometimes. So from that time on, I had to learn how to bag up in my life and learn to start to depend on people. Once that 6 months period was up, I had to wear bifocals. It went from bifocals to trifocals. And I had a wonderful ophthalmologist. There's a difference between ophthalmologists and optometrists. You do need an ophthalmologist to stay abreast of your eyes because they can tell you things that an optometrist can't tell you. And you do need a retina specialist because they specialize in your retina. Once I figured out what those particular people did, those doctors did, I started learning a lot of things about my eyes. And for years, I lived like that. But back in 1996 is when I was told that I had glaucoma. And as old as I was, and it's gonna sound funny to some, but it was not, because I never was concerned about my eyes. Because those things are just, like I said, I expected that every day I was gonna get up and have no problems and go through my day. I learned that glaucoma takes your vision away and that there is no way that you can prevent it, not even today, but you can slow it down. This is not to frighten you, This is to get you prepared just in case you do have glaucoma. Believe it or not, one day your sight is going to diminish and go away. So you need to prepare yourself for a transition. So for years, after my sight started coming back to me due to the cerebral hemorrhage and the central vein occlusion, yes, I was capable of driving once again and doing things. In 2006, I had to retire because that was the last central vein occlusion that I was going to have that was going to put me in such a place to where I couldn't function. I didn't realize that through those years from 1996 up until 2006 that my eyes was actually that bad. I still thought that I could see, but I was seeing different things at that time. You see, your eyes changes and you don't even realize it. You just assume that you're seeing one thing, but you see something else. So you have to make sure what you are seeing is what you see. Because if you don't, your eyes will play games with you and they will trick you. And that you don't need, because that will cause problems. If you are trying to drive and your eyes is to the point to where you can't really see that well, you need to start thinking about trying to do something else. But as I said, I retired in 2006. That was my last central vein occlusion that I had while I was working, and I wasn't intending on going through that ever again because my eyes was terrible. So I lived like that for about 4 or 5 more months, and my eyes started clearing up once again from the bleeding, and I started transitioning more. Start depending on people more, not driving at night, not driving during the rain, being careful in the dusk part of the night when people turn their car lights on. The glare from the lights actually blind you. And then you're having to look to the right of the road instead of looking in the street. You can't trust yourself to do that because you jeopardize everyone else. I didn't jeopardize people because I realized once that happened to me, I couldn't drive anymore like that. I stopped. No night driving, no dusk driving. If it's not in the day, on a clear day, I wouldn't drive. I had to stop. You're gonna have to come to the reality that this transition is gonna be changed. It's gonna take you through a change that you don't wanna do, but you're gonna have to in order to protect yourself and other people out there. So, from 2006 until 2011, I lived like that. Now, March 2011, the date was the 20th. A big thing happened to me that made my whole life stop and change drastically. I had a retina detachment while I was working, and that was about 8 o'clock in the morning. By noontime, I was totally blind, and I was about 110 miles, 120 miles from home, but fortunately I was with some people and they brought me home. I couldn't even stop to get my vehicle. And I guess they thought that I wasn't totally blind because they was asking me, are you sure you want me to take you home, or you just saying that you can't see that well, you know, and your eyes are hurting or something? But I was totally blind. And from March 20th, 2011 until this day, 9 years and 2 months, I have been totally blind. My life drastically changed. From 2011 until 2015, I trained myself how to walk, how to do things, how to manipulate myself in my home to try to keep things right, my mind functioning, handling my own finances, because I'm just not going to stop, because once you stop doing those things, your brain has a tendency to stop. So I'm going to stop right there because this is a lot to retain. This is a lot to go through. So I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to take about 2 or 3 of these type videos to tell you about transitioning, how I transitioned up until this point. And I hope you continue to watch these videos and get something out of it and learn something from where I had to go to get training and the people that I dealt with. And maybe you'll start doing that and realizing that eventually you may go totally blind and you won't have a drastic change like being depressed because you are blind. That's what I want to try to prevent for you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and like it. Tell your friends about my videos so they can subscribe, and so we can try to get the word out about blindness, because there's not much out there. There's a lot of people don't know anything about blindness, okay? And we need to get the word out there, because I tell you one thing, as I always tell my other friends, blind people do matter. As I always say, keep your faith in God, trust in yourself, keep your heart and your mind right, and you'll get there. This is Rosey. Until next time, take care of yourself, and I'll see you later.